Welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And today, what's on my mind is kind of like maybe you missed the boat, that a lot of Western magic has a lot to do with ascension and transformation into a God being. So, and how that's done is you can use the tree of life pattern superimposed upon your body and do meditation work. The tree of life is kind of considered the Western magical system. It's their version of the chakra system. And the chakra system is more of the Eastern mysteries. Either way, you're aligning yourself with an energetic blueprint. And through that energetic blueprint, you kind of like align with the holographic nature of reality, the divine blueprint, the structure of our universe. And yeah, that was kind of a lot, but I think a lot of people don't understand that the whole point of Western magic is self-evolution. And we see it hinted at with the greater work and the lesser work in alchemy. The self-transformation, in a weird way, is the lesser work. And the greater work is the transformation of the collective of humanity. So every time you do meditation, every time you're like working with energy, channeling, getting connected to your guides, developing your psychic abilities, your spiritual gifts, is a way you can wire that into your system and transform yourself into a higher being. In psychology, it's part of the individuation process where you become self-actualized as an individual, independent of what the lower collective is asking of you to do. And so you're not getting your information externally based from religion, from school systems, from work, from other people in the everyday life. They're always imposing their imprints upon you. And you use that as a reference to define yourself. When you are self-actualized, that no longer has power over you, and you are like living your life purpose. So a lot of people have a hard time understanding what their life purpose is. And it's because you don't know yourself well enough. And you can't know yourself well enough until you clear out the garbage of your lower three chakras. The lower three chakras hold your 3D human experience in place. So when they're clear, they actually operate better for you. So one of the problems is like religion. I don't want to specifically say Christianity, but we get the idea that heaven is up there. We get the idea that divine assistance, or now new age assistance like higher beings, aliens, and ETs, is out in the stars. And so we have this sense that our salvation is outside of us, and there's a distance, when the opposite is true. You draw it into yourself with magnetism. See occult, magnetism, vibration, healing. That's been written extensively about. to do advanced high magic, you have to be spiritually online. You have to be able to commune with the powers that be. To know if your ritual even worked in the first place. And to receive downloads from higher beings like that. Understand that you are connected to the universe. So in past videos, I have talked negative about New Age culture and I would call the abuse of all this information that's put out into the public, like tarot and astrology, and we get very amateur tarot and astrologers using these tools. And there's actually a positive side to all this. You get introduced to it at a very basic level, and it sparks your curiosity to start trying to understand the architecture of our universe. What's also really cool is we have our developed science now, which its foundation is the occult. So science is not a religion. It's not something you have to believe in. The occult, true occult, isn't cult. It is occult, meaning hidden knowledge, hidden from your five senses. It's been veiled from you. Science confirms that we see a very limited amount of the full light spectrum. We don't see gamma rays, we don't see X-rays, and we don't hear subaudial sounds. And so when we really that's why we have tools like advanced telescopes and scanning systems. It's to enhance our perception. They're like an extension of ourselves. Telescopes, microscopes, and all this technology is an extension of our curiosity, our awareness, and perception. So you could say we're working with something very basic, awareness and perception, and we can use our tools to enhance it. As above, so below, as within, so without, to gain knowledge. From this expanded out of occultated knowledge, like from an advanced telescope, we get to see stars and we get to learn all this stuff, but then we get to flip it upon ourselves and use that same understanding of how fast light travels, rotation of planets, to understand forces being applied to ourselves in very real time that create real events, hence astrology. So you don't have to divorce yourself from logic and reason. You don't have to say the science is separate, when you could actually say science is the next level of occult. And occult and science have always been sleeping together. They've always been looking into each other's eyes and romancing what the other person sees. And so it's like a wheel that must turn. The curiosity, the mysticism of the unknown drives science and drives occult. They're going about it in two different ways, and yet it's one and the same. So the magic of today is the science of tomorrow. And science is an exploration. It's not really trying to define your reality. It's trying to explore it and find truths, but not absolute truths. So in a weird way, everything's a theory. But with the information and knowledge and the transformation of beliefs, we see ourselves differently, and our psychology changes, and our capabilities change. So, life is just really good. So, like on a high note, we light the fire within our mind, the intellect, with curiosity and all this wonderful information. It opens doors and new directions for humanity. That creates lots of curiosity, which could throw you on your path, your purpose, your passion. So it's really kind of hard to find your purpose in life and live that exalted state without passion. And you really can't get passionate unless something lights that fire. And using my own life as a reference, I kind of felt like there was no permission growing up to get passionate about the things that I wanted to do, nor did I have, I didn't even know it was out there. I lived in a sheltered little life, and a lot of stuff wasn't introduced to me, so I didn't see what was available. What are all these humans doing with wands and rituals and chants and yoga and mantras? And what are they doing over in India? What are they doing in South America? What are they doing up north? Like, what are people involved in? So I think all of our starting points are pretty limited, and sometimes you're not nourished, you're not given positive feedback, you're not given support to go the direction you want to go. And so a lot of our passion has been put out, and we don't realize it, and we might be depressed, or we might just not have any goals. We don't know why we're alive. There's like no meaning to our life. Your bright, wonderful world has become Gotham City, dark and strange and weird, and not something you want to live in. And so I feel like a lot of people turn to magic, occult, witchcraft. They turn to other alternative means to try to understand themselves. And so usually within the first levels of occult training, you have to kind of look at this historical self, this shadow material, and you have to dismantle it. And so training of the wizard kind of empowers you, but there has to be a shedding of this historical self, this old you. And there's a light side of you. The golden shadow is something that I've definitely come in contact with. And it kind of represents all these gifts that you never had an opportunity to enjoy. Like, you might be an athlete, but you might have lived in a disadvantaged lifestyle and never had access to the right equipment. You never had the time because maybe you were working and taking care of other people. You didn't know anything about nutrition. And so deep within you is an athlete. And that's part of your golden shadow. And it gives you passion to run and to challenge yourself physically. And it's an empowering thing for you. Until you get that third chakra working, which would be allowing yourself to feel joy and passion, and giving yourself permission to be you, your authentic self, you can't really access the heart chakra, and you can't really access your will. Your willpower is distorted. Your ambitions, your goals have become what your family wanted, what your culture wanted, what your religion wanted, what's always being offered to you, instead of something from within, this light within, this power from within. We were actually all born with the knowledge of who we are and what we want to be. But this social conditioning, those years of making you whatever you are and have been, maybe it was a straight A student, maybe it was a lawyer, or whatever it was to make your parents proud, or to create survival for yourself, or whatever you bought into. Illusionary, delusionary, who knows? It has to go, because you have to have an authentic relationship with the powers that be. So a lot of people will have mystical experiences. Maybe they use drugs and open up their third eye, or they play with the occult and it opens up their spiritual gifts, or they start meeting other beings like fairies and demons and gods and all sorts and ETs. And the way you respond to it is unhealthy, because you don't feel empowered and you don't know how to manage your own energy system. So you might, and so your reaction could be fear. It's like, why did you think all these old wizards had all this protection magic? How come people are always saying generational curses and karmic lovers, and a karmic person is coming in to sabotage and prying eye. There's all this like fear, and 90% of that gets canceled when you empower your solar plex chakra, when you let your golden shadow out, when you start going in the pursuit of your own happiness, following your bliss, giving yourself permission to be unique, learning that all your flaws could be your greatest tools to become gifts to share with the world. And it takes courage to say, for me, I just use myself as an example, it takes courage to say, all I want to do is channel. All I want to do is be connected to higher powers. All I want to do is evolve in magical ways. All I want to do is be a conduit of knowledge and good. That's all I want to do. I don't want to go watch a baseball game. I don't really want to go watch a movie. Eating's all right, but I don't really want to do that. I just want to channel it in and bring it out. I'm like, could that be a life purpose? Could it be so simple? That's all I want to do, is access higher dimensional energy and bring it in to planet Earth and raise the vibration. And as a consequence, we all get smarter. As a consequence, we heal. As a consequence, there is more joy to access. That sounds pretty positive. But it takes courage to say, yeah, I don't want to be a firefighter. I don't want to be a pro athlete. I don't want to make my mom and dad proud and be a doctor. I don't want to have an important power position and be a boss and a manager. And I'm not really that interested in giving someone a hug and being their support system in that way. I'm very interested in being supportive by being a conduit of higher energy, power, and knowledge. I want to love in a different way. I want to love in my own unique way. I want to love in a way where it's energy coming in and beaming out to the ones that I love. which would be obviously, or like on that big collective level, everyone in a very general way. So you can find unconditional love pretty quick when you don't over and undervalue and everything just becomes generalized equal. Then it's like, yeah, there it is, equal for everyone. So you create the meaning, you live your life on purpose, you live it with passion, and pretty soon you're living your purpose. So your passion gets you there. And it's almost like just do life on purpose. And it's really hard when you have those clouds to work out all that conditioning, all that programming. So, and it's an ongoing process. But one of the big things, the big roadblock that people don't understand they're hitting, the whole reason of this video is because a friend was having difficulty getting into the void consciousness. And I was like, that's because the more you go into the void, the more you are having to deal with all this repressed stuff, everything that you've compartmentalized, your body, all the chemical reactions, everything that you've just shoved down comes up. You're unclogging a drain. That's what's happening. And so at first you can feel like a failure, but you didn't understand you were doing it right. Every attempt to go inward is correct. It's just that resistance isn't resistance. That mind chatter is all that stuff that you're suppressing. And so it needs to come up. And so you're doing it right. And eventually the clog in the drain gets unclogged. Things clear out, and then it's properly flowing, and then you get into the stillness. You move into stillness, you move into silence, and you might have to hack your way in. So we're dealing with a huge collective mess. Like, that is what is going on with everyone. That is the insanity. That is all the hardship. It's the collective burden that we have handed down to the new generation. And then it was handed down to the new generation, and no one is really dealing with it. We're all trying to escape higher realms. We're all trying to escape into entertainment. We're all trying to escape into our habitual addictions, whether it's work, food, sex, alcohol, beating yourself up mentally. And so you see how to work on yourself in a weird way, you have to acknowledge the state of the world and where it's at, because you get an inheritance of that. You get some of that programming, and so it takes time. It takes self-care, it takes self-love, and it takes a ritual act in the daytime, in your waking life, when you're off the mat, when you're out of the circle or magic room. You have to be aware and conscious and doing things that help unprogram you. And then when you get back to your meditation or your spiritual practice, it gets better and better. So I practice being neutral. I practice being mindful. I practice being in my own body. I practice trying, because it's so easy for me to get glued to everyone else's situation. Danger. It's like my eyes, it's like my senses are outwardly directing, trying to help navigate me through space and time, and all this people pleasing. Oh God, I got to do a good job at work for 8 hours, And so our society's kind of geared to make us external. It's geared to get outer information dumped into us. It's geared towards programming us a different way than what's actually natural. So realize we go through this rebirthing cycle, this shedding, many times throughout the day. So having a routine, a daily practice, holding space for yourself, setting space internally, externally, learning to relax and breathe and let go of all those chemicals stored in our nervous system with tension. Let go of all that thinking, pointless thinking. Let go of the hidden anxieties that is also stored as tension. You're becoming a clear channel, and you need to do this for your magic. It just accelerates you. It turns on your gifts. Like when you're clear and clean mentally and emotionally and physically and in your environment, everything gets so clear and things run better, and it naturally makes you positive. So kind of wrapping this up, since we have a few more minutes, meditation accelerates your spiritual practice. Meditation gets you in contact with your higher self and your highest self. Meditation helps you realize the oneness of all things. Meditation helps you get real. It's a psychological dental floss. So it's like an essential thing that you should probably do every morning, midday, and at night, or at least in the morning and at night in some way, and then maybe once a week, a serious few-hour meditation, and that, however that is for you. So my meditation can be hours, but during my meditation, I give myself permission to move my body around. I'm not stiff and rigid. I'm not forcing it. And hey, if I need a cup of tea, I'll go grab a cup of tea. If I need to eat a little food, I'll eat a little food. But it's just this mindful flow of ebbing in, ebbing out, doing a few things, ebbing in and out. And so it's very much like an ocean. It's very much like surfing. But this evolutionary practice of becoming the Adam Kadmon, the divine self, a higher version of you, a God man, a pharaoh, basically, is what you turn yourself in using the occult practices. So a lot of occult material is sold as gimme, gimme, gimme. I want this, I want that. I want a relationship, I want money, I want security, and wine, wine, wine. And it appeals to our ego, our limited self. But really, it becomes a huge investment of transforming yourself into a higher being. And with all that power, you transform the world, because what comes through you is a higher quality energy. What comes through you is deeper understanding and wisdom. Love, wisdom, and power is what comes through you. You become an ideal version of yourself, and you share that with the world, and you offer new imprints. So you become a game changer. You change the world. And so really that's what the occult is about. It's about becoming a better version of yourself, realizing, self-actualizing, self-realization. And then it's also about getting in touch with reality, real forces, real powers of multidimensional nature, but they have substance, and they move through you, and they work with you in very tangible ways. This is the occult. I hope you liked the video.